It is Wednesday, August 28th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very casual get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. Got my ass kicked just a teeny tiny bit, but on top of that I kicked some ass and felt good, you know. I mean, hey, we gotta enjoy the victories that we get in life. They're rare and fleeting, man. But anyway, so yeah, we did. We were working a lot of stuff from the quarter guard. When you know, like when you're almost out of a half guard, but they've got you trapped by the ankle, and just some little maneuvers to get out of that situation. And the particular set that we were working on today consisted of doing a back step, you know, stepping back over the other side of your opponent. And during the sparring, I did almost have an opportunity to utilize it today, but my opponent negated me. Nonetheless, I choked him out, or came really, really close. It was funny because I was holding his collar, and I'm like, you know, if I just rotate my elbow up, rotate my forearm in, and then reach down and grab the other lapel, I could get in a tighty zipper choke from here. And so that's exactly what I did. And it was funny because when I got him down, I consciously navigated his hand between my feet. Like I had it trapped with, I had his left arm trapped with my left leg, and like I mentally exchanged it for my right leg, and you know, transitioned it to my right leg, and then I was going for I want to say an Americana. It's kind of setting that up, and I realized that I'm like, you know, I've got his lapel. I could just rotate my forearm up, get it really tight in there, and then grab that other lapel and tighten it down for a nice little lapel choke. Problem was, he didn't have anything left to tap with. And so, like, I felt him squirming his arm around, and I'm getting closer and closer and closer to the full choke, and I'm like, dude, you can tap any time now. This is pretty much a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. And it was just because he didn't actually have an arm free to tap with. But he did manage to get it high enough to be able to tap on the bottom of my foot. I'm like, okay, let up on him. But I felt kind of guilty, I'll be honest, because I'm a little bit bigger. You know, I'm a little bit taller and I'm a little bit bigger, but he pulled guard. And so it's like, okay, you put yourself in a negative position to begin with. And I'll tell you what, this guy, I've rolled with him before, and I've felt like varying levels of competency from him. So I'm sure I wasn't getting his best game today. But nonetheless, I was particularly dominant, and I tried not to, again, you know, not to use my strength so much as actually maneuvering my body. And he almost had my arm, but I literally spun my entire body around on top of him to where I got my arm back out of a negative position. He was going for first he was going for a triangle. I managed to escape the triangle. Then he was going for an arm bar. And in the process of trying to go for the armbar, I managed to get his body onto his right side, or no, his left side, and then I spun around to where I wasn't. I had his hip up enough, and I had my shoulder on his hip. It was really cool. But anyway, yeah, I ended up choking him. But I don't know if he was really anticipating that one, or, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel like I was getting his A game. I think that you know, maybe he put in a really solid day at work or something like that, and so, you know, or of course, you know, he was regarding this as sparring. You know, we're just playing around, and that's fine too, you know. But I don't know. I'm trying really hard not to be that hyper competitive guy that nobody wants to roll with anymore. And so, I did give him a few opportunities to assert his will. But I felt like it was really easy for me to figure out something to do to change the situation. And so that's been like my big focus with regard to jiu-jitsu. And like that's why I feel guilty anytime I feel like I'm being like overtly dominant or really strength oriented, is that I'm trying to focus on the one little thing, because there's always one little thing, one little tweak that you can do that adjusts your body position in reference to your opponent, that neutralizes or at least stalls their progress and gives you an opportunity to think of something better to do to get the fuck out of the situation. And it's like I find myself facing that a lot in my jiu-jitsu, where like this guy, I think we were starting from a close guard, or he got me into his close guard. And I was navigating it between my elbow and my knee on his thigh. And so it's like, I was using that as a really effective shield. And one of these times what I want to do is like do a double grab on the leg, like a grab on the thigh and then a grab on the ankle, and then push it up over my head and like do like a reverse shrimp or something to get out of there, and then like pull myself back in. And I kind of did something like that today, and it worked out. I ended up back in I think I ended up in mount on that. I'm not sure, but anyway, like I said, I'm trying to focus on just a little adjustment, and every once in a while I have to get explosive, I have to get dynamic, but these guys are threatening me, man, and they're threats. They're coming after me, and so I gotta not necessarily protect myself or something like that, but I gotta look out for me, and I am trying to advance my game, so there is that. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music, and of course we're going to throw some body count in. It's tradition. You just got to do it. And as far as which song though, that's the question. Here it is. Talk Shit, Get Shot. First Dance here on Coin Metal. And that was Meshuggah with Monstrosity. And so, a long time ago I did an episode, and I even mentioned it the other day, about commodity-backed cryptocurrencies. There was a brief flurry, I want to say back in like 2016, of coins claiming to have some direct association with some sort of hard commodity, such as oil or gold or silver or anything like that. My assertion on that has always been that it's the triple layer mystery cake. That because you don't know how many dollars there are, you can't properly evaluate the price of crypto, or of either a cryptocurrency or a hard commodity. The best they can do is just the market figures out a spot price and everything is cool. You just use it. But you have to base that upon known things like reserves. You have to know how much gold you actually have. And there's always the danger that the gold that you do have already is promised to another entity. It's just being held in storage, and the entities that are holding it in storage count it on their assets, and so they use it as collateral for loans and such. So anyway, I got this article here on Reuters. And this, in my mind, this kind of exemplifies the big danger in trying to use a trusted commodity such as gold as the backing for anything. And so here it is. This is authored August 27th, 2019 at 10:09 p.m. Updated 11 hours ago. Exclusive. Fake branded bars slip dirty gold into world markets. And this is by Peter Hobson. So yes, penis. London, Reuters. A forgery crisis is quietly roiling the world's gold industry. Gold bars fraudulently stamped with the logos of major refineries are being inserted into the global market to launder smuggled or illegal gold, refining and banking executives tell Reuters. The fakes are hard to detect, making them an ideal fund runner for narcotics dealers or warlords. In the past 3 years, bars worth at least $50 million, stamped with Swiss refinery logos but not actually produced by those facilities, have been identified by all 4 of Switzerland's leading gold refiners and found in the vaults of JP Morgan Chase & Co., one of the major banks at the heart of the market in bullion, said senior executives at gold refineries, banks, and other industry sources. 4 of the executives said that at least 1,000 of the bars of a standard size known as a kilo bar for their weight have been found. That is a small share of the output from the gold industry, which produces roughly 2 million to 2.5 million such bars each year. But the forgeries are sophisticated, so thousands more may have gone undetected, according to the head of Switzerland's biggest refinery. Quote, "The latest fake bars are highly professionally done," said Michael Mazurek, the chief executive of refinery Valcambi. He said maybe a couple of thousand have been found, but the likelihood is that there are, quote, way more still in circulation, and it still exists, and it still works. Fake gold bars, blocks of cheaper metal plated with gold, are relatively common in the gold industry and often easy to detect. The counterfeits in these cases are subtler. The gold is real and very high purity, with only the markings faked. Fake branded bars are a relatively new way to flout global measures to block conflict minerals and prevent money laundering. Since forgeries pose a problem for international refiners, financiers, and regulators as they attempt to purge the world of illicit trade in bullion. High gold prices have triggered a boom in informal and illegal mining since about the mid-2000s. Without the stamp of a prestigious refinery, such gold would be forced into underground networks or priced at a discount. By pirating Swiss and other major brands, metal that has been mined or processed in places that would not otherwise be legal or acceptable in the West, for example in parts of Africa, Venezuela, or North Korea, can be injected into the market, channeling funds to criminals or regimes that are sanctioned. It is not clear who is making the bars found so far, but executives and bankers told Reuters they think most originate in China, the world's largest gold producer and importer, and have entered the market via dealers and trading houses in Hong Kong, Japan, and Thailand. Once accepted by a mainstream gold dealer in these places, they can quickly spread into supply chains worldwide. Word of the forged bars began to circulate quietly in gold industry circles after the first half of 2017, when JP Morgan, one of the 5 banks which finalized trades in the $10 trillion a year London gold market, found that its vaults contained at least two gold kilobars stamped with the same identification number. 10 people familiar with the matter told Reuters couldn't determine exactly where the vaults were. JP Morgan declined to directly address questions about the fraudulent bullion or comment on any of the details of the story. Quote, It's our standard practice to immediately alert the appropriate authorities and refineries should we discover mismarked gold kilobars during routine checks and procedures, the bank said in a statement. Quote, fortunately, we have yet to have an incident resulting in a loss to the firm or a client. Yeah, who cares that you're dealing in stolen gold? Never mind. The Shanghai Gold Exchange, which regulates China's gold market, said in a statement it was not aware of any counterfeit bars being made in or transported through China. Quote, the Shanghai Gold Exchange has established a thorough delivery and storage system. The process for gold material to enter the warehouse is strictly managed and in compliance with the regulators, it said. When others who store and trade such gold found forged bars, they return them to the refiner concerned, some of whom have operations in Asia. Bars returned to Switzerland have been reported by refiners to the Swiss authorities, who impounded them, refiners said. Swiss Customs said 655 forged bars were reported in 2017 and 2018 to local prosecutors in Ticino, a region bordering Italy that contains 3 of Switzerland's 4 large refineries. In all cases, the marking of the 1 kilogram bars were fake, a customs official said by email without commenting further. The public prosecutor in Ticino confirmed it had received 3 reports of gold bars with suspect serial numbers, but said it could not disclose more information. The police in Neuchâtel, where Switzerland's other large refinery is located, said neither it nor local prosecutors there had received reports of any reforged bars. Switzerland's Attorney General said its office was not concerned with the topic at present. Refinery executives said that forged bars had also been reported in other countries. Golden years. The global financial crisis turbocharged a boom in gold prices which is yet to abate. Yeah, it looks like it's going to continue to go up too. Handy format. Kilobars are small, around the size and thickness of a cell phone, unlike the roughly 12.5 kilo gold imports typically stored in the vaults of the world's central banks. Kilobars are the most common form of gold in circulation around the world, passing fluidly between banks, refineries, dealers, and individuals. The identifying features stamped onto a bar's surface include the logo of the refinery that made it, its purity, weight, and a unique identification number. Each one is worth around $50,000 at current prices. Holy crap. In parts of Southeast Asia, it's not uncommon for individuals to use gold instead of cash for big purchases, such as real estate, bankers and analysts said. It's only the investment tool that goes from institutional investors like banks to the public and back again, said an executive at a Swiss refinery. In China, almost all exports of gold are banned as part of the country's strict, long-standing controls on capital movements. That, market analysts say, has spurred demand among well-to-do Chinese who want to send money out of the country to find ways to smuggle it. An estimated 400 to 600 tons of gold are snuck every year across the border from mainland China to Hong Kong in car boots and delivery vans, most of it in kilobars, said Cameron Alexander, head of precious metal research at consultants GFM Refinitiv, GFMS Refinitiv, which conducts detailed studies of global gold flows. Hong Kong Customs said it had received no complaints in the past decade about kilobars with forged trademarks. Japan also has a long-established problem of gold smuggling in which the forged brands could be put to use, refinery executives said. Swiss brands are not the only ones that have been pirated, but are the most targeted due to their global reach, executives said. Switzerland's 4 largest refineries, Valcambi, PAMP, Ager Heraeus, and Metalor, process around 2,000 to 2,500 tons of gold a year, worth around $100 billion. Their trademarks are among the most common and trusted in the industry. PAMP and Metalor declined to comment on the record. Argor said there was always a risk brands would be counterfeited and recommended people buy bars only from trusted distributors. For recipients, the pirated bars pose a compliance threat. Anyone who holds such metal, including jewelers, banks, and electronics firms, risks inadvertently violating global rules designed to keep metal of unknown or criminal origin out of circulation. The rules aim to staunch gold supplies that fund conflict, terrorism, or organized crime, damage the environment, or undermine national governments. Governments in America and Europe are legislating to force banks and manufacturers of such items as such as jewelry and electronics to take more responsibility for their mineral supplies. For example, a clause in the Dodd-Frank Act, adopted by the United States, obliges U.S. companies to disclose whether gold they use has come from countries in Central Africa where it could have been mined to fund conflict. Richard Hayes, Chief Executive of the Perth Mint in Australia, one of the world's largest refiners, said his company had not encountered fraudulently branded Perth Mint kilobars, but, given the experience of other refiners, he has no doubt they are circulating. Quote, "It's a wonderful way of laundering conflict gold," he said. "The gold is genuine, but it's not ethically sourced. They look completely genuine, they assay correctly, and they weigh correctly as well. The perfect appearance makes the bars highly effective." Quote, "Because gold is completely fungible," Hayes said, "you can bleed it into genuine production. It's very, very hard to control." JP Morgan supplies gold from major refiners for many of the world's biggest banks, jewelers, and investors, and the discovery of forged bars in its vaults triggered a full review of the gold it held, market sources said. One said the sweep unearthed around 50 fraudulent branded bars. Another said it found several hundred. JP Morgan did not comment. People in the industry familiar with the matter said the number of forged bars and their high quality meant their production must be well organized. An analysis of the bars' movements suggested they had been made in Asia, probably China, they said, but the gold in them could have been melted and remelted after being mined anywhere. JP Morgan responded to its discovery by deciding to stop buying any gold from in Asia that had not come freshly made from a small clutch of refineries it trusted, 5 people familiar with the decision said. JP Morgan declined to comment. Other banks have also restricted gold purchases in Asia. 15 people in the industry said, quote, "Anything that has even the chance of being iffy, they are not going to be involved in," said Alexander, the analyst at GFMS Refinitiv. Reuters approached 5 large banks that trade gold in Asia, several of which have vaulting facilities. HSBC declined to comment in detail, but a spokesperson said it only bought bars directly from a small group of refiners accredited, like the Swiss, by the London Bullion Market Association, LBMA. It said it had found no counterfeits. UBS did not comment on counterfeit bars, but said it only sells gold processed by LBMA accredited refiners. Standard Chartered declined to comment, saying, quote, "This is not an issue that affects us." ANZ said it buys previously cast bars from, quote, "a select group of counterparties," and its policy, which has not been changed by the counterfeits, was to remelt and recast them before selling them on. No one from ICBC Standard was available to comment. Yeah, whatever. That's a shady deal right there. They're basically refiners to circulate laundered gold into the market. Anyway, continuing on. 3 nines. The number of fake bars being found has dropped since 2017, but refiners say the forgeries are becoming increasingly sophisticated, so the problem may have grown. In 2017, Valcambi's Missouri said hundreds of bars were found stamped with the same identification number. The bars' markings also had spelling errors, flaws in logo images, or print that was too deep or too shallow, other refiners said. Today, the forgeries are more precisely made, using what appears to be sophisticated machinery. Masaryk said there can always be giveaways, such as indentations from a robotic gripper or repeated imperfections in a cast mold, but these are easy to miss. The most reliable way to identify the fakes is to test their purity. Gold is available on world markets in varying levels of purity. For professionally produced kilobars, the most common standard is 99.99%, known in the trade as 4 nines. An analysis of 3 counterfeit branded bars by one Swiss refinery showed that 2 of them were 99.98% pure, and the third was 99.90% pure. Though short of legitimate professional standards, even that level of purity is difficult to achieve and takes advanced equipment to detect. Swiss Customs said that of the 655 bars reported to local prosecutors in Ticino, the purity fell slightly below 99.99% in some cases. Quote, "The level of counterfeit is becoming really good. Even for us, it is hard to tell," said a Swiss refinery executive who spoke on condition of anonymity. They are, however, slightly less pure because the people doing the counterfeits don't have the equipment that we have. Tamper-proof ink microsurface scans. The refineries are responding to the problem with technology. Metalor this year began to put spots of tamper-proof ink on its bars. Like the security features on banknotes, these display different features when viewed under certain light or through filters. PAMP and Valcambi perform a microsurface scan of their bars and supply machines or phone apps that can scan each one and verify whether their surfaces match the refinery's records. Argor said its bars had various security features, but declined to elaborate for security reasons. The LBMA, which accredits gold refineries to vouch for the quality of their output, is drawing up standards for security features. It also has proposed a global database containing information about every kilobar produced as a way of cross-checking the products to add an extra layer of security. Any security feature can be duplicated that's on the bar itself, said the LBMA's chief executive Ruth Crowell. But most of the refiners' security features have only been introduced recently, and no database is planned until 2020 at the earliest. Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit too late to deal with the kind of issues that this is going to cause. I mean, because you can rest assured that whatever they've detected, it's small beans by comparison to the total volume that's in circulation. And really consider it, man. how much incentive do you have to go rooting around in your gold bars to find out whether or not they're legitimate? I mean, if they're worth $60,000 a piece on face value, I mean, you look at it, it looks like a fucking kilobar. It weighs out as a kilobar. It has a high enough purity to be a kilobar. I mean, how much are you really going to pay attention to it? It's not in your best interest to do so. It's in your best interest to accept that, yeah, man, that's legitimate Swiss gold. You know, the LBMA says it's good. It's good. All good. Everybody happy. I got my gold bars. They got the money. But again, you know, they kind of gloss over the underlying issue of where the gold is coming from. And the fact that JP Morgan themselves is being caught with so much of it, you have to keep in mind that these people are heavily involved in global commodities markets, specifically precious metals. I mean, they just got busted for, I guess it was wash trading commodities certificates or some shit like that. I can't remember the exact details of it, but the fact of the matter is that they're manipulating the market all the way around. If you really think about it, you know, you're finding all these kilobars that are coming from them or in their possession or are in their possession that are counterfeit. So what's the likelihood that they've got some group in North Korea or somewhere else that's illegally mining the gold and then exporting it? I mean, that's usually when that's happening, those reserves of gold are already accounted for. They've been assayed. They've done the fucking prospecting there and determined that, yeah, there's likely a several yard vein here that's got a couple pounds worth of gold in it, and so we're going to count it in the estimated value of that particular sample or that particular lot, right? Well, if somebody goes and mines the shit without it being listed anywhere that's happened, well, now all of a sudden both the gold is fraudulent, but also the numbers, the estimated assay value of the land is all off now. Because the shit was illegally extracted out of the ground. Nobody knows it's been extracted out of the ground. According to everybody's books, it's still there, right? Until you go to mine it, and then you figure out, no, it's been in the fucking global market for about 30 years now. It's been circulating as kilobars on the white and gray market, and nobody's been the wiser. You know, and again, nobody's really got any big incentive to go around in their kilobars going and sniffing to see if they're conflict gold from South Africa or some shit like that. And there's also been the fact of the matter that we've had Libya. You know, they had a shit ton of gold before Hillary Clinton killed Gaddafi, and Gaddafi was actually planning to have a gold-backed currency for Libya, and had massive reserves of gold specifically for that purpose. But there have been reports that some of that gold, at least, has gone missing since he was overthrown. So yeah, there's also that. You know, and plus, like Syria, they've had the same thing. You know, in Iraq, you know, where antiquities are found during sacking missions, where people go into archaeological digs and they find things that are made out of gold that have significant historical value just in the object itself, but they seize them and then they fucking melt the shit down for the gold. You know, but this is the way it gets into the market, you know. And again, if you've got that much supply, fraudulent supply on hand, you can do a lot to manipulate the markets. You know, we talked about it right there in that article where one of those entities that was discussed in the article could actually be one that onboards fraudulently acquired gold, conflict gold, because they remelt the shit themselves. So yeah, again, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music, and not sure where to go now. We played a lot of good stuff on the last one, although we did not cover any prong, and so that's exactly where we should go, some prong. And let's see. Not of This Earth by Prong here on Coin Metal. And that was Sepultura with Territory. Alright, and so next up I got this article here on BitcoinWarrior.net. Cryptocurrency in Hong Kong is increasing rapidly amid protest. And this is authored 8/29/2019. No attribution, but clearly a time traveler. Hong Kong is moving towards adoption of cryptocurrency at the asset for trade. PriceRite, a supermarket chain, has started accepting cryptocurrency as a somewhat preferred method of payment over the Hong Kong dollar. Bitcoin Cash labeled waters during the protests also helped cryptocurrency adoption in Hong Kong. PriceRite has become one of the many businesses that will be helping consumers get by their day with low-fee, immutable, transparent cryptocurrencies in the near future. It is one of its kind things out there in the region, and it might it might boast of being so before the crypto revolution comes. Cryptocurrency adoption in Hong Kong. The department store currently deals in Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, Ethereum, and Litecoin, as PriceRite on their Facebook handle have acknowledged. Here's a tweet from the Bitcoin Association China showcasing the scenario. Department store PriceRite has begun accepting Bitcoin, Lightning, Litecoin, and Ethereum at its store at Megabox, a Facebook reads. Interesting. The way these transaction works is somewhat on the lines of instant conversations with Megabox. This Kowloon Bay retail concept store will be responsible for the interconversion of cryptocurrency to Hong Kong dollars. The fiat cash will be added to the store's cash register in real time. A faster transaction method exists, but a Lightning Network account, wallet, and Bitcoins is a recipe for it. Whatever. The non-cooperation campaign at the Mass Transit Railway, MTR, stations has not only caused civic problems regarding transportation, but the Hong Kong dollar has suffered badly as well. In order to bring back the stability in the exchange rate, the viable choice is to either sell or buy the local currency. But are the recent protests the reason for this bold step? A Forbes report shines a light on a similar case with a yes to the proposed question above. The current situation may or may not be the same. With inflation in sight, price premiums bust forth like ants on a tart. Argentina saw Bitcoin price overinflate. Depending on the region and or country, the event could very well be reversed, as in South Korea's case, where the price premium was dubbed as kimchi premium. Yeah. Very interesting. But this right here, I think it's kind of a missell to try and announce Lightning Network as some sort of cryptocurrency payment option. I mean, that's what it's meant for. However, it has a great deal of drawbacks versus on-chain transactions. And I really believe that all of the entities that are providing this option are going to find out that people are more likely to use Litecoin, just in that they don't have to keep a live node open or anything like that, or have a custodial wallet wallet service holding their coins for them. That's kind of a antithetical something completely antithetical to cryptocurrencies. So this next one I got here is on ambcrypto.com. China's CBDC initiative fills private cryptocurrencies missing elements. And this is by Arjit Sarkar, my apologies. From the picture, yes, penis. And this is authored August 28th, 2019. Continuing on. The latest Binance research, while showcasing China's CBDC initiative, highlighted its possibility of being a renminbi replacement. Creating a buzz in the context, the report read, quote, "The People's Bank of China plans to replace China's MO money supply with its CBDC. Several potential improvement areas were discussed as reasons to justify this move, including retail payments, interbank clearing, and cross-border payments. Moreover, as the Chinese CBDC targets to be a substitute for Chinese M0 supply, CBDC holders would not receive any interest from the central bank if it's not parked in any financial institutions. This will ensure that China's crypto initiative would not compete with commercial bank deposits and would not have a noticeable impact on the existing economy in this regard." Yeah, whatever. Interestingly enough, China's CBDC initiative includes, quote, "some of the missing elements that is predominantly lacked by private currencies." The two-layer network setup is also speculated to achieve transaction performance of at least 300,000 transactions per second. Man, this sounds like I might want to read that. The above graph displays PBOC's one coin, two repositories, and three centers approach, which was previously proposed by Ye Guin, the former head of PBOC's Digital Currency Research Institute. Concluding the report, Binance Research mentioned, quote, "Despite one of the end goals from this digital currency initiative being to further internationalize the renminbi, it remains to be seen what legislation could apply on cross-border payments." While the report uncovers various technical aspects of China's crypto initiative, it remains unclear whether that individuals based outside of China would rely on the Chinese central bank to both maintain a consistent monetary policy and protect their financial privacy. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that they would just delete the privacy part. I see several problems with this, but they're kind of skipping over a intermediary between them and their crypto fiat, I guess would be the term of it. You know, with the United States, you have the GUSD, the TUSD, the Tether. There are a few others. You have all of these intermediaries acting as agents for the dollar. I would argue probably the closest thing to an actual security in cryptocurrencies. But anyway, you have these entities existing between the Federal Reserve and cryptocurrencies. Whereas it seems the PBOC is just going to make their own cryptocurrency, supposed cryptocurrency, and kind of circumvent that middleman. And that in itself is a good move. My problem with these state-backed coins is they operate under the assumption that the people are going to actually comply and utilize specifically and solely their cryptocurrency. The problem with that assumption is that it also interferes with the idea that there are actually 2,000 or so cryptocurrencies out there on the market, and people are free to choose exactly which one they want to get into. Now, there have been some attempts to geolock people, but there are other technologies people utilize to circumvent any kind of geographic location impositions they may have. And I keep reading people fighting about the internet and stuff, and I think the fact that it remains as free as it is kind of exemplifies the fact that most people don't really want this panopticon thing. And the feds are really only able to use the data that they have in a kind of a hindsight kind of measure. I mean, there are some instances where they get ahead of things, but it's always the result of an investigation where they brought somebody in, they brought their computers in, they studied their entire fucking financial history, and they narrowed down everybody that these people were involved with. And that's how they got to the discovery for cryptocurrency exchanges in the sort, people quote unquote money laundering, is that they get caught doing something stupid, and their information is compromised by some sort of regulating entity or the police themselves, and that's where the in comes in. You just got to be smarter about how you do shit. Don't do shit with people that do illegal shit. I mean, when I say illegal shit, I mean transporting fissible nuclear materials. I mean, come on now, use your fucking brain. Anyway, and those are always used as the edge cases when there's some regulator or somebody or some politician or whatever talking about wanting to regulate cryptocurrencies. It's always that, it finances terrorism. Yeah, whatever. The closest thing that they've actually come to definitively proving that, and they didn't even definitively prove it. Go into it. I guess Hamas, this organization Hamas, they have a military branch and a social branch. And the social branch governs social shit, so hospitals, schools, so on and so forth. And they put up a page wherein they included a Bitcoin address where they intend to receive funds by people who are willing to send them funds in Bitcoin. Now, there, of course, I've never heard any kind of mention of whether or not those addresses have actually ever received any funds. But even in the case that they had, the entity that these people are intending to fund is not the military wing. It's not the people that go around with a fucking burqa on or whatever in a fucking RPG and AK-47, all that shit. It's the people that teach kids. In the place of actual schools, they serve as teachers. So, the one man's terrorist, I guess, is another man's freedom fighter or social worker in this case. I think it's that disingenuous mislabeling of things that it's unfortunate. It really is. Because you have to be willing to investigate shit to get past any kind of hate, reactionary hate where you're pointing at Bitcoin and saying, it funds terrorists, without any real investigation of what's going on or understanding of the nuance of the situation, which is not as black and white as Bitcoin funds terrorism. Anyway, I got this next one here. It's on bitcoinmagazine.com. Chinese authority pushes back on central bank digital currency report. As China's central bank wait a minute, when was this authored? This is authored August 28th, 2019, and I guess the author is ABTC. Let's see, platform in Bitcoin, gold. Doesn't actually give us an attribution of whether it's male or female, so continuing on. Oh, wait a minute, this was originally published on ABTC by Lillian Teng. So let's check that out, because we like proper attribution for shit. And it seemed to me this too is an aggregating site, but I could be wrong. Where the hell is it? I think this one might be it. Alright. Yeah, so this is authored August 28th, 2019 at 11:22 by Lillian Teng. So no penis. As China's central bank gets ready to launch its own cryptocurrency, Forbes reported early on this morning, Beijing time, that the People's Bank of China would launch a state-backed cryptocurrency and issue it to 7 institutions in the coming months. An immediate response to it, sources close to the central bank said that the statement above is simply an inaccurate speculation. According to the Forbes report on August 27th, China's central bank will give its first round of central bank digital currency, CBDC, to 7 institutions as early as November 11th. Citing Forbes source Paul Schulte, who previously worked as a global head of financial strategy for China Construction Bank, the largest bank in the world, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the second largest bank in the world, the Bank of China, the Agricultural Bank of China, 2 of China's largest financial technology companies, Alibaba and Tencent, and UnionPay, an association of Chinese banks, will receive the cryptocurrency. In the report, an anonymous source who's involved in the development of CBDC confirmed that the 7 institutions above would receive the new asset when it launches, also disclosing an 8th institution that could also be among the first tier of recipients, but refused to provide its name. The source added that the technology has been ready since last year, and CBDC could roll out as soon as November 11th. These institutions reportedly will be responsible for, quote, dispersing the cryptocurrency to 1.3 billion Chinese citizens and others doing business in the renminbi. Additionally, the source disclosed that the central bank hopes the, quote, currency will eventually be made available to spenders in the United States and elsewhere through relationships with correspondent banks in the West. Holy shit. That's pretty interesting. However, a few hours after the news broke out, the source told Sina Finance, one of China's largest financial news providers, that the statement in the report was an inaccurate guess. According to a previous report by 8BTC, China's state digital currency features a 2-layer operation mechanism that entitles commercial banks or other institutions to disperse the CBDC, and it is ready to roll out, which the Forbes report accurately echoes with. But the immediate clarification under the name of the source makes it unclear how soon the long-awaited world's first central bank cryptocurrency will come out. The country has been stepping up its efforts in developing its central bank digital currency these years, but few signs of progress have been revealed to the public. While the release of Facebook's Libra white paper motivated the CBDC designers to involve non-governmental entities in its development and bring CBDC to the sight of the public. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. You know, to my knowledge, I have no idea whether or not the Petro is actually launched. I mean, I suppose I could probably look it up. I'm not incredibly motivated to do so, but I think that the whole attempt to do a state-backed cryptocurrency is just silliness. It's just fucking silliness. Let me get some water here. The first reason being that, like, 90% of the motivation to even come into cryptocurrencies is the fact that a state doesn't control them. That they're the product of people like you and me. But we're taking on the jobs of banks and legislatures, regulatory entities. And we're doing so because the ones that we have in place don't seem to be doing their fucking job very well. You know, they keep trying to run the economy off a cliff or something with bubbles and booms and interest rate hikes and stimulus and all this other bullshit. You know, let the fucking market be. You know, there's going to be enough fluctuation in the market without the manipulation. But it's a matter of incentives in my book. You know, it's both cheaper and more profitable to cheat. So what are people going to do? They're going to fucking cheat. You know, and cryptocurrencies aren't immune from this either, but we feel it a lot less than other entities. Anyway, continuing on, I got this one on CoinDesk, and this is kind of an old theme, but it really gets down to this incentive issue. That because the crypto markets have been, I believe, have been manipulated significantly with stable coins, that the incentives to mine without cheating are kind of going down. Just a little bit. But anyway, I got this thing on CoinDesk. Cryptojacking virus infects 850,000 servers. Hackers on the run with millions. And this is by William Foxley. It was authored August 28th, 2019 at 1800 UTC. French authorities shut down a botnet army responsible for cryptojacking thousands of computers across 140 countries. Yesterday, French cybersecurity officials, dubbed cyber gendarmes, announced the disabling of a botnet force 850,000 servers strong, operating mostly in Latin America. The botnet head was located in France and was inoculating computers with Monero cryptojacking software, according to a BBC report. A malicious form of computer predation, cryptojacking, involves remotely and secretly installing crypto mining software onto computers. Infected computers bear electrical and maintenance costs, while hackers walk away with the crypto. The virus was first spotted by private firm Avast in the spring. An email promising money or erotic images linked to the virus, and in certain cases, infected USB drives also carried the virus. While the number of machines infected is known, the amount stolen is not. Official estimates run into the millions of euros, with the culprits still on the run. French officials tracked the head pirate server to L'Île-de-France. The server has been in operation since 2016, utilizing the Reddit virus to cryptojack computers, along with stealing personal data from Israeli hospitals, among other nefarious acts. Over the next 6 months, French officials shut down the server while moving the virus to unused parts of the web. Basically, we managed to detect where was the command server the control tower of the network of infected computers, the botnet, said Jean-Dominique Nolet to France Interradio, head of the Center for Combating Digital Crime, C3N. It was copied, replicated with a server of ours, and made to do things that allowed the virus to be idle on the victim's computers, he continued. While a large achievement for the French authorities, Nolet warned rebooting the hack was nearly as easy as copying and pasting as a copy and paste command. Quote, "Unfortunately, we know that they can recreate this kind of hacker server at any time," he said. Earlier this month, data analyst company Carbon Black released a study on another Monero botnet force, infecting some 500,000 servers operating across Eastern Europe and in parts of Asia. Yeah, cryptojacking is not going to go away, and until we work out the matter of incentives with regard to profitability of mining, we're going to continue to see cryptojacking. It's like people want to make money on cryptocurrency. They want to use cryptocurrency, but they're having a little bit of trouble getting it. Well, it's easier to learn how to program and learn how to do some sort of fileless injection on somebody's browser that puts a miner in the background, and of course some sort of software linking you for your network and whatnot. But yeah, the incentive for doing that is high enough that people are willing to engage in it, and the likelihood of repercussions for doing it is relatively low, according to what we're seeing here. But that might just be because they haven't been caught yet. Now, anywho, I think this one might actually be kind of related to it, but I don't know if I want to go into it because it's kind of different stuff. News and yeah, there we go. And this one is it's on ccn.com. This is authored August 28th, 2019. It's by Geraldine Turzo. So I'm going to say no penis. Backed readies Bitcoin custody launch with all eyes on big investors. For months, we didn't hear a peep out of Backed, and now the NYSE owner-backed exchange won't hush, and it's music to the ears of the crypto community. Backed for a year now has been viewed as a future catalyst for Bitcoin adoption on Wall Street, given its regulated nature and physically settled Bitcoin contracts. The theory has been tested as the launch of the exchange has faced hurdles, but now it's clear the wheels are in motion. Today, Backed revealed that one of the most important pieces of the puzzle is in place. They are days away from securely custodying Bitcoin for clients as they ready the launch of, quote, Backed Bitcoin daily and monthly futures when they launch on September 23rd, in conjunction with ICE. If all goes as planned, patient institutional capital is about to be unlocked and, at long last, make its way into the crypto markets. Backed, a huge catalyst for Bitcoin. While the Bitcoin bulls have largely been in control this year, the Bitcoin price is well off of its highs of 2019 of approximately $13,000. As traders such as Mike Novogratz predicted, it's been range-bound for months, and for the most part has been hovering at the low end of that range. But the summer doldrums might have something to do with it. Even in the stock market, trading volumes are low, so investors could just be waiting until the season changes, until they come back into or enter crypto for the first time. Bakkt is giving them the perfect reason and timing to do so. If it plays out anything like the maiden launch of Bitcoin futures on the CME and CBOE, which don't even offer direct Bitcoin exposure via physical settlement, Bakkt could be a real game changer. Yeah, I don't think so, but now more than ever, big investors are looking for a place to park their capital, and Bitcoin is offering returns that are like no other asset class in the world. Just ask cryptocurrency and blockchain investment fund Pantera Capital, which just today pointed out, quote, if you can find an asset that has 235% 8-year compound annual growth rate and basically zero correlation with anything else, you should own some. That's the simplest way to describe blockchain should be in a portfolio, or why Bitcoin should be in a portfolio. And they say blockchain, but fuck them. They added, quote, the one asset class not correlated to others is blockchain, Bitcoin, for the obvious reason that very few institutions own it. Indeed, institutions have yet to really participate as crypto remains a retail-fueled market for now. But that could all be about to change starting next week when Bakkt starts storing Bitcoin for big investors. The clock is ticking. Let's see here, read more. Okay. Yeah, so Bakkt. I've been saying for a long time now that institutional investors have been involved in cryptocurrency since, I want to say 2011, 2012. You know, Fidelity has been mining with various entities, including on their own, since about, I want to say 2015, 2016. So the idea that quote-unquote institutionals aren't involved in this, it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. I mean, just look at Goldman Sachs. They own Circle. Circle issues USDC. There you have it. I mean, how much more institutional do you have to fucking get than that? You know, as far as what kind of wonder and glory Bakkt itself could bring to crypto, I think it would just be giving a different class of entity a different medium to participate in. Whether or not they will actually choose to do so has yet to be seen. But I will say this. We still see multi-million-dollar transactions happening all the fucking time on the Bitcoin network. They're going from unknown wallet to unknown wallet, and they're using legacy Bitcoin addresses. So, in my mind, that shows that they're probably not a cryptocurrency exchange. They're probably a private person such as you or me doing a transaction with another private person such as you or me, and it's millions of dollars. I mean, if people are willing to put down millions of dollars and expose themselves to Bitcoin in that way, with that much faith, why are they going to go to Bakkt? I don't understand. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And as far as where we're going to go, you know, we haven't played any Slayer tonight. Huh. Well, I have to fix that. No, not that. Yeah, here we go. This is the good stuff. Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer, here on Coin Metal. And that was Helmet with Life or Death. Yeah, and as we're coming to a close... Oh, damn it! Man, I should have let that song play. I really like that song by Megadeth. Anyway, I'm not going to, though. But yeah, I think we're going to see at least China, possibly, Venezuela, possibly China, coming up with their state-backed cryptocurrencies, and I think we're going to see some really surprising outcomes. For one thing, I don't really think they're going to make it that far. Any kind of study into the previous alt bloom would indicate that there were in fact several proposed national cryptocurrencies. There were cryptocurrencies for peoples, like Navajo coin or something. I can't remember if it was Navajo or Nav coin. Anyway, continuing on, there were several cryptocurrency choices that had popped up, over time, but they just never really caught on. And I think that it's part of the appeal of cryptocurrencies that they are separate from governments and that they are separate from banks. Because these are two of the entities that have abused currency so much all our lives. And so, the idea of being presented with a state-backed cryptocurrency and using it instead of coins that are not related to the government or a corporation or a bank, it doesn't have the same incentives. It doesn't have the same appeal. And I think that we're going to continue to see where these are tried, but they quickly fail. And not the least of which reasons being because Bitcoin works and we can use it without having to ask permission from the PBOC or the U.S. Federal Reserve for Wells Fargo or anybody else. If we want to send money to somebody else on this planet, it's entirely possible. You don't even really have to use the internet to do it. I mean, I'm not going to go into details there, but there are ways to transfer cryptocurrencies without using the internet as a medium. And that being a reality of things, I think is going to keep cryptocurrencies pretty much in the same state that they're currently in. I think much of what we've been seeing as far as companies adopting cryptocurrencies and countries wanting to create their own or governments wanting to create their own, I think they're all part of this larger scheme where governments are looking at what cryptocurrencies can do, and they're like, well, hey, it used to be that only we could do that, so we gotta try and wrangle it back around to where people think that it's still in such a status of affairs where we are still the ones in charge here, and we get to tell you what the fuck. Well, I've said multiple times on the show, and I'll say it again, that I don't think that people, once they understand what the technology is capable of and what roles we are replacing with people that could live on our own streets. And when I say that, I mean, it lives on the same road that you do. And the increase in autonomy and freedom that endows us with, why? I think that the fact that it appeals to you to be able to circumvent all those laws and shit, you're not the only one. And there's been concerns raised by U.S. Congress people that cryptocurrencies could be utilized to circumvent all kinds of capital controls, not specifically limited to a geographic range, but an international in scope. So when we're talking about embargoes against Cuba or Venezuela or Bolivia or China, tariffs imposed, all that shit becomes meaningless when you can use another transactive medium that isn't benefiting the party that's trying to punish you. Come on now. when you exit all of their control mechanisms and use a means of exchange that they don't have any control over. That's what I'm saying about it. It's a double-edged sword where, these countries, the governments are looking at it and they're like, well, we want to ban it. We want to ban it really bad because it frees our people of our control over their money supply. But if we ban it, it fucks us up because we got to get reelected. And it's not going to make us real popular trying to take this away from people. But it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole because nobody else is going to do it for you. As far as our last dance is concerned, I haven't picked anything out yet. As usual, I like to write it to the very end. We haven't played anything by Irreversible Mechanism, and I kind of like their stuff, but I haven't listened to it enough to know exactly which one to pick. So I kind of scanned by that here. What else do we got? What's good and short and sweet? And you know what? I want to play that one song by Megadeth. I actually kind of like that a lot. Of Mice and Men, Last Dance, here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening. Good night.